The mystery begins. The sun was setting over the small town of Peculiar, casting an eerie glow over the streets and homes. For 17-year-old Asa Holmes, this was just another typical evening, filled with homework and studying for upcoming tests. That was until her best friend, Daisy, burst through the front door, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Asa, you won't believe the news," Daisy exclaimed, hardly able to contain herself. "Russell Pickett, the billionaire who's been all over the news, has gone missing." Asa's eyes widened as she put down her book. The same Russell Pickett who's been accused of embezzling millions of dollars from his company. Daisy nodded enthusiastically. "The very same. The police are stumped, and they have no leads on where he might be hiding. But here's the best part, his mansion is right here in Peculiar." Asa's curiosity was piqued. She had always been fascinated by mysteries and puzzles, and this one seemed like the ultimate challenge. "Let's do some digging," she suggested, a mischievous grin spreading across her face. Together, the two friends began to scour the internet for any information they could find on Russell Pickett's disappearance. They pored over news articles, police reports, and even social media, searching for any clues that might lead them to the fugitive billionaire. As they delved deeper into the mystery, Asa and Daisy realized that this was going to be no easy feat. But they were determined to solve it, no matter what it took. And so, the game was afoot, the mystery had begun. Summary: Asa Holmes and her best friend, Daisy, stumble upon the intriguing mystery of a fugitive billionaire, Russell Pickett, who has gone missing in their small town of Peculiar. And with the police stumped, the two friends decide to take matters into their own hands, scouring the internet for clues and determined to solve the mystery no matter what it takes. The billionaire's disappearance. The mysterious life of Russell Pickett, Asa and Daisy delved deeper into the enigmatic life of Russell Pickett, the billionaire who had seemingly vanished into thin air. Their research led them to a labyrinth of intriguing facts and shocking revelations. Born into a wealthy family, Russell's life was a privileged one from the start. He inherited his father's business empire at the tender age of 25 and expanded it into a global conglomerate, earning him the title of one of the richest men in the world. However, Russell's success was not without controversy. He was known for his ruthless business tactics and numerous lawsuits against former employees and business partners. Asa and Daisy discovered that several people had accused him of embezzlement, fraud, and even bribery. Despite the numerous allegations, Russell had always managed to stay one step ahead of the law. Asa's eyes widened as she read about Russell's lavish lifestyle. He owned a private island, a fleet of luxury cars, and a collection of priceless art pieces. His parties were legendary, with A-list celebrities and politicians in attendance. Daisy, on the other hand, was fascinated by Russell's philanthropic efforts. He had donated millions to various charities and had even founded a few of his own. It seemed that Russell had a Jekyll and Hyde personality, with a dark side that few people knew about. As they dug deeper, Asa and Daisy began to piece together the events leading up to Russell's disappearance. It was clear that he had been involved in some shady dealings, but they still had no idea what had driven him to abandon his life of luxury and disappear without a trace. In a summary, Russell Pickett's life was a complex web of wealth, power, and controversy. Asa and Daisy have uncovered a few secrets, but the truth behind his disappearance remains a mystery. Following the clues. The mysterious disappearance of Pickett, Asa, and Daisy sat in the dimly lit library, surrounded by dusty tomes and flickering candles. The air was thick with the scent of old books and the weight of unresolved mystery. Before them, spread out like a puzzle, were the cryptic clues Pickett had left behind. It was their first lead in unraveling the enigma of his disappearance. The initial clue, scribbled on a crumpled piece of paper, read, "Where the wind whispers secrets to the trees." Asa furrowed her brow, her mind racing with possibilities. "It sounds like a riddle," she muttered, tapping her pen against the desk. Daisy, her eyes shining with excitement, leaned in closer. "I think I know what it means," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "There's an old, abandoned windmill on the outskirts of town. The trees surrounding it are said to carry the whispers of the wind." Without another word, the girls gathered their belongings and set out towards the windmill. The sun was high overhead, casting long shadows across the ground as they walked. As they approached the windmill, the creaking of its old wooden blades grew louder, like a mournful sigh. Asa felt a shiver run down her spine. This was the kind of place where secrets dwelled. Upon closer inspection, they discovered a small, hidden compartment in the windmill's stone foundation. Inside, a folded piece of paper waited, bearing the next clue. "Seek the eyes that see beyond the veil." Daisy's eyes sparkled as she unfolded the paper, her mind already racing ahead. "I think I know who this might be referring to," she said, a sly smile spreading across her face. Their next destination was the town's eccentric old fortune-teller, Madame Luna. Her shop, adorned with colorful trinkets and mysterious artifacts, was a place of whispered legend. Asa and Daisy pushed open the door, a bell above it ringing out in welcome. The air inside was thick with incense, and the girls' eyes took a moment to adjust to the dim light. Madame Luna, resplendent in her flowing robes and glittering jewelry, greeted them with an enigmatic smile. The seekers of truth," she said, her voice low and husky. "I have been expecting you." With a flourish, she produced a small, ornate box from behind the counter. "This was left for you, with instructions to follow the next clue." The box, adorned with intricate carvings, opened to reveal a small, polished stone. Etched onto its surface was the message, "In the heart of darkness, seek the light." Asa's mind reeled as she gazed at the stone, the words echoing in her mind like a mantra. Where was this journey taking them, and what lay at its end? As they left Madame Luna's shop, the sun dipping low in the sky, Asa and Daisy exchanged a look of determination. They were one step closer to unraveling the mystery of Pickett's disappearance, and they would stop at nothing to uncover the truth. In this chapter, we saw Asa and Daisy begin their investigation into Pickett's disappearance, following a trail of cryptic clues that led them to unexpected places and characters. From the abandoned windmill to the enigmatic Madame Luna, every step revealed a piece of the puzzle, drawing them deeper into the mystery. The journey is far from over, but one thing is certain: Asa and Daisy are hot on the trail, and nothing will stand in their way. Asa's inner turmoil. The darkness within Asa's mind was a war zone, where thoughts clashed and emotions battled for dominance. It was as if she was trapped in a never-ending cycle of self-doubt and fear, with no escape in sight. Her obsessive thoughts had become her constant companion, nagging her about every little thing, from the way she looked to the things she said. Every conversation, every encounter, every decision was scrutinized and critiqued, leaving her feeling like she was walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next anxiety attack would strike. The obsessive thoughts were like a swarm of bees, buzzing incessantly in the background of her mind. They would creep up on her at the most inopportune moments, making her question her own sanity. What if I said something wrong? What if I forgot something important? What if I'm not good enough? The questions were endless and the answers elusive. Asa felt like she was drowning in a sea of uncertainty, with no lifeline in sight. The anxiety attacks were like a sledgehammer, pounding away at her heart and soul. They would strike without warning, leaving her gasping for air, her heart racing like a runaway train. The physical symptoms were just as debilitating: the tremors, the sweating, the feeling of being frozen in time. It was as if her body had become a prisoner to her mind, unable to escape the constant barrage of fear and uncertainty. Asa was trapped in this never-ending cycle of self-doubt and fear, unsure of how to break free. She felt like she was losing herself, like she was disappearing into the darkness of her own mind. The questions swirled in her head. Am I going crazy? Is this what it feels like to lose control? Will I ever find peace? Key takeaways. Obsessive thoughts can be debilitating and all-consuming, making it difficult to distinguish between reality and paranoia. And anxiety attacks can be physically and emotionally draining, leaving the individual feeling helpless and trapped. It's essential to acknowledge the struggle and seek help to break the cycle of self-doubt and fear, and to find a path towards healing and peace. The bonds of friendship. The fracture of trust. Asa and Daisy had always been the epitome of a strong and unbreakable bond, a friendship that had withstood the test of time and turbulent circumstances. However, as they delved deeper into the investigation, the chasm that had begun to form between them grew wider. The usually harmonious dynamic was now replaced with tension and discord, threatening to dismantle the very fabric of their relationship. The disagreement, it started with a simple disagreement on how to approach the next lead. Asa, fueled by her determination to uncover the truth, wanted to confront the suspect head-on, while Daisy advocated for a more cautious and calculated approach. The discussion quickly escalated into a heated argument, with both sides refusing to budge. For the first time, they found themselves at an impasse, unable to find common ground. As the hours ticked by, the atmosphere became increasingly charged. Asa, usually the voice of reason, became aggressive and defensive, lashing out at Daisy's suggestions. Meanwhile, Daisy, typically the more laid-back of the two, grew frustrated and accusatory, questioning Asa's judgment. The dialogue was laced with underlying emotions, past resentments, and unspoken fears. The underlying issues beneath the surface, deeper issues began to emerge. Asa's driving force was her desire to prove herself, to vindicate her family's reputation, and redeem her own sense of self-worth. Daisy, on the other hand, was motivated by a sense of responsibility, feeling the weight of her friends' expectations and the community's trust. These underlying motivations, though well-intentioned, created an unconscious bias influencing their perspectives and decision-making. As the argument continued, old wounds began to resurface. Asa's past mistakes and perceived failures were dredged up, and Daisy's perceived laziness and lack of initiative were thrown into the mix. The hurtful words and accusations cut deep, exposing the fragility of their bond. The breaking point, the confrontation reached its climax when Asa stormed out of the room, leaving Daisy in tears. The silence that followed was deafening, a palpable indication that their friendship was teetering on the brink of collapse. For the first time, they were forced to confront the possibility that their bond might not be as unbreakable as they had always believed. The aftermath, in the hours that followed, a somber silence hung over the investigation. And Asa and Daisy barely spoke, their interactions limited to curt exchanges and awkward glances. The team's morale plummeted as the tension between the two friends spread like a virus. The once seamless partnership was now fragmented, with cracks and fissures visible to all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Asa and Daisy were left to confront the harsh reality. Their friendship was not immune to the tests of life. The bonds that had once held them together were now threatened, strained to the breaking point. The investigation, once a symbol of their solidarity, had become a catalyst for their discord. Summary: the disagreement between Asa and Daisy serves as a poignant reminder that even the strongest of bonds can be fragile and susceptible to fracture. As they navigated the treacherous landscape of their investigation, underlying issues, past resentments, and unspoken fears began to surface. The confrontation exposed the deep-seated motivations and biases that had been simmering beneath the surface, threatening to dismantle their friendship. As they stand at the crossroads, they must confront the possibility that their bond may not be as unbreakable as they once believed. Asa's family and past. Aza's family and past, Aza's strained relationship with her mother, Aza's relationship with her mother, Lucy, was complicated, to say the least. Lucy was a loving but controlling parent, always pushing Aza to be the best version of herself. While her intentions were good, her methods often left Aza feeling suffocated and anxious. Aza's every move was scrutinized, and her mother's constant criticism made her feel like she could never measure up. This created a sense of low self-esteem and self-doubt that lingered into Aza's adult life. The therapy sessions, Aza's therapist, Dr. Singh, was the one person who seemed to understand her. Their weekly sessions were a refuge for Aza, a place where she could freely express her emotions without fear of judgment. Dr. Singh's empathetic ear and non-judgmental attitude helped Aza to slowly unravel the complexities of her past. Through their conversations, Aza began to realize that her people-pleasing tendencies and fear of rejection stemmed from her mother's constant criticism. Early memories of anxiety. Aza's earliest memories of anxiety dated back to her childhood. She recalled feeling overwhelmed and fearful during family gatherings, where her mother would meticulously plan every detail. Aza's inability to meet her mother's expectations would often lead to feelings of guilt and shame. These early experiences laid the foundation for Aza's anxiety, which escalated into full-blown panic attacks as she grew older. Key takeaways: Aza's strained relationship with her mother and her experiences in therapy have significantly shaped her current struggles. Her people-pleasing tendencies and fear of rejection are a direct result of her mother's controlling behavior. Understanding the roots of her anxiety has been a crucial step in Aza's journey towards healing and self-discovery. The conspiracy deepens. Aza and Daisy sat in the dimly lit archive room, surrounded by dusty files and yellowed papers. They had been digging through Pickett's past for hours, and finally, they stumbled upon a peculiar document that caught their attention. It was an old newspaper clipping, dated back to the time when Pickett was still a professor at the local university. The headline read, "Professor Pickett's Controversial Theories Spark Outrage Among Academia." As they delved deeper into the article, they discovered that Pickett's unconventional views on ancient civilizations had created a stir among his peers. He had proposed a revolutionary idea that ancient cultures were not as primitive as they were often portrayed, and that they possessed knowledge and technologies far beyond what was commonly believed. The academic community had dismissed his theories as absurd, but Aza and Daisy sensed that there was more to the story. And not as Aza's eyes scanned the article, her brow furrowed in concentration. "This is interesting," she said, pointing to a paragraph that mentioned Pickett's fascination with a particular ancient text, the Lost Scrolls of Eldred. It seems he was obsessed with uncovering the secrets of these scrolls, which allegedly held the key to understanding the advanced knowledge of ancient civilizations. Daisy's eyes widened as she read the sentence. "Eldred, I've heard of that. Isn't it a mythical place?" Aza nodded. According to legend, Eldred was an ancient city, hidden deep in the heart of a mystical forest. Many have searched for it, but none have found it. Pickett believed that the scrolls were real, and that they held the secrets of Eldred. As they continued to read, they stumbled upon another article, this one from a local newspaper, dated around the time of Pickett's disappearance. The headline read, "Mysterious Disappearance of Professor Pickett Rocks Community." The article described how Pickett had gone missing during a solo expedition in the nearby forest, leaving behind only a cryptic note that read, "I found it." Aza and Daisy exchanged a look, their minds racing with possibilities. "Do you think he found the scrolls?" Daisy asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Aza's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I think it's possible. But what's more intriguing is the fact that the article mentions a local legend, a warnings from the forest spirits, forbidding anyone from trespassing. It seems Pickett had ignored the warnings, and now he's gone missing." As they dug deeper, They discovered a series of cryptic messages and symbols etched into the walls of Pickett's study. They resembled ancient runes, similar to those found in the mystical texts of Eldred. Aza's knowledge of ancient languages came in handy as she deciphered the symbols, revealing a hidden message. "Beware the guardians of the forest." Daisy shivered, feeling a chill run down her spine. "What do you think it means?" Aza's face was set in determination. "I think it's a warning left by Pickett himself. He must have known that he was taking a risk by searching for the scrolls, and he's trying to tell us something." As they packed up their findings and left the archive room, Aza and Daisy couldn't help but feel that they were getting close to the truth. They had uncovered a web of secrets and mysteries, all pointing to one thing: Pickett's disappearance was not just a simple case of a missing person, but a gateway to a much larger, more sinister conspiracy. In this chapter, Aza and Daisy uncover more secrets about Pickett's life, including his controversial theories on ancient civilizations and his obsession with the lost scrolls of Eldred. They also discover cryptic messages and symbols etched into the walls of Pickett's study, which seem to point to a hidden danger. As they dig deeper, they begin to unravel a web of secrets and mysteries, leading them closer to the truth behind Pickett's disappearance. The truth revealed. Unraveling the mystery, Aza and Daisy's determination had finally paid off. After weeks of tireless search and investigation, they stumbled upon a crucial piece of evidence that led them to the shocking truth about Pickett's disappearance. The revelation was both exhilarating and terrifying, leaving them reeling with a mix of emotions. The discovery, as they pored over the cryptic clues and pieced together the puzzle, the duo uncovered a web of deceit that went far beyond their wildest imagination. Pickett, it turned out, had been involved in a clandestine organization that operated in the shadows, manipulating world events to serve their own interests. His disappearance was not a random act, but rather a calculated move to silence him before he could expose their sinister plans. Consequences of the truth. As Aza and Daisy delved deeper, they realized that their quest for truth had put them squarely in the crosshairs of the organization. They had unknowingly stumbled into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where the stakes were their very lives. The weight of their discovery was crushing, and they knew they had to act fast to protect themselves and bring the perpetrators to justice. The burden of knowledge. Aza and Daisy were faced with a daunting dilemma: to keep the truth hidden and risk being silenced forever, or to brave the unknown and fight for the truth, even if it meant putting everything on the line. The consequences of their discovery had set in motion a chain reaction that would change the course of their lives forever. In summary, Aza and Daisy's pursuit of truth had led them down a perilous path, where the lines between right and wrong had become blurred. As they navigated the treacherous landscape, they were forced to confront the harsh reality that the truth, no matter how liberating, came with a price. Moving forward. As I sit here, reflecting on the journey I've been on, I'm reminded of the wise words of Maya Angelou. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. For a long time, I felt like I was stuck in a rut, like the events of my past were defining my future. But as I look back, I realize that I've been given a rare gift, the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to move forward. One of the most significant lessons I've learned is the importance of self-awareness. For so long, I allowed my emotions to control me, rather than taking control of them. I thought that if I just pushed through the pain, it would eventually go away. But it didn't. It only intensified until I felt like I was drowning in a sea of sadness. It wasn't until I took the time to acknowledge my emotions, to understand their root causes, and to learn how to manage them, that I began to feel like I was living again. Another crucial lesson I've learned is the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, it's about releasing the hold that someone or something has on you. It's about recognizing that you are not defined by the actions of others, and that you have the power to choose how you respond to them. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, effort, and patience, but the freedom it brings is immeasurable. As I look towards the future, I'm filled with a sense of hope and excitement. I know that I still have challenges ahead of me, but I also know that I'm stronger, wiser, and more resilient than I've ever been. I'm moving forward, not because I've got it all figured out, but because I'm committed to continued growth and learning. I'm moving forward because I know that every step I take, no matter how small, is a step away from the pain of my past and towards a brighter, more hopeful future. In summary, moving forward is not about erasing the past, but about using it as a catalyst for growth and transformation. It's about embracing self-awareness, forgiveness, and the power of choice. As I continue on this journey, I'm reminded that moving forward is not a destination, but a mindset that says, no matter what life throws my way, I will rise above, I will learn, and I will keep moving forward.